Reflections on Lesson 38. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. My holiness is my superpower. It's the power of a higher love in my mind. The lesson says that holiness reverses all the laws of the world, that it is beyond every restriction of time, space, distance, and limits of any kind. That's why there is nothing my holiness cannot do. It's unlimited. It can touch a situation that seemed to be totally hopeless. It can shift relationships. It can touch people who are far away, people who are from my past, even people I don't know. It can touch ones who've already passed on, and future generations, ones that haven't even come to the planet yet. That's exciting. I can bring higher love into the world because it's already been brought in me. I don't have to look for love. I don't have to try hard to be holy. I just have to wake up to the fact that a spark of the divine has already been brought in everyone. We come from that. We're extensions of that. The lesson says, and I've got this line highlighted in my book twice. It says, through your holiness, the power of God is made available. It says your holiness then can remove all pain and all sorrow and solve all problems. And it doesn't matter who has the problem, because we are all one in spirit. When we are healed, we are not healed alone. So whenever any sense of loss or unhappiness or suffering of any kind shows up at my door or comes to my attention, whether it's my problem or someone else's, it doesn't matter. Let me pause before I respond and say to myself, wait a minute, let me run inside and grab my holiness. That's the medicine that everybody wants. So I apply my God self to the wound, to the hurt. It might come in the form of a smile, or at least the absence of a scowl. It might be a kind word, or a change of attitude, or a word of encouragement or gratitude. Those are the nudges I get from my holiness. I think of holiness as an application. Whatever the situation is, holiness is the app for that. It's the one correct response to every problem. Because holy sight can see beyond appearances. It sees things differently. It sees only love or a call for love, but it can't operate on its own. I have to be willing to use it. I have to choose to activate it. That's the key. I did choose to activate my holiness before Randy and I went to the grocery yesterday. It seems like a small thing, but it was not. The whole thing from start to finish was a blessing, and had an ease and a flow to it that we hadn't had on some of our other trips to the grocery. It was different. I was different. It was like I had broken free of my usual pattern of defensiveness and anxiousness somehow. I think there was a shift in my thinking, because I had spent a full 5 minutes on the practice section of this lesson before we left. The practice periods have been getting longer. It's suggested that I use 4 5-minute practice periods today, searching my mind for any sense of loss or unhappiness, whether it's my loss or unhappiness or someone else's, and then plugging that situation into the practice line. It went something like this. In this situation involving the grocery, in which I'd see myself as defensive and bent out of shape, there is nothing that my holiness cannot do. It was very cool. I prepared myself for the grocery trip ahead of time. The lesson had already told me in the beginning that my holiness is not bound by time. It can affect things that haven't happened yet. And that's what happened yesterday. It was like the Holy Spirit said, hey, y'all, watch this. Look what I can do when you let me, when you invite me, when you recognize me as who you truly are, when you recognize me as your higher self, and you apply me to the situation. That puts a whole new twist on the words, apply yourself. Again, it seems like a small thing, but it was not. It's never a small thing to ask for a miracle, a change of mind. It changed my vibration. I could feel it. I was way more pleasant and agreeable than usual. I think more happiness is a sign that these lessons are working for me. It's like we say in my Al-Anon group, keep coming back. It works if you work it. I keep working these lessons because they work for me. Now, I'm very clear that my holiness is not here to change anything outside me. It's all about what's inside me. My practice right now is all about recognizing my holiness and claiming that there is nothing it cannot do, and being willing to change my mind and change the way I respond to people and situations. And oh my gosh, I'm just beginning to see how often my mind needs to be changed, needs to be healed. I'm really paying attention. And when I started singing the song that came through for today's practice, I was surprised at just how often I was catching myself throughout the day having critical thoughts. So I had no problem coming up with situations to plug into this song. In this situation involving the grocery, I know there is nothing that my holiness cannot do. In this situation involving your father, I know there is nothing that my holiness cannot do. In this situation involving our neighbor, I know there is nothing that my holiness cannot do. In this situation involving my illness, I know there is nothing that my holiness cannot do. I know there is nothing that my holiness cannot do.